Today on SLEDHEAD 24/7, we head to West Yellowstone, Montana for a special edition at Snowshoot. This season, we test ride with some of the best in the business as we show you what's new from every manufacturer for 2014.
Hey, I'm Rob Kincaid and you're watching SLEDHEAD 24/7.
I'm your host, Misha Johnson, here with my boys, Mac and Fish.
Oh my goodness, what have you guys gotten into?
Last thing left, I think we gotta just see if it runs.
We are at Snowshoot for 2014. And 2014, what does that mean? All of next year's snowmobiles this year. We get to ride them all, Fish. We get to value add them. I am so excited, I can't stand it.
Well, yeah, I can see the little bit of foam coming out of your mouth. That we got brand new sleds. All the manufacturers are here. We have great test riders with us this time, and we're gonna have a great time.
I'm so excited, I can't stand it, Chelsea. What are you thinking?
Oh, I'm so stoked. I can't wait to try out these new models.
Aaron, good old Midwest boy like us, until 10 years ago, moved out west. You got to be digging this.
You bet. I already have two picked out. I can't wait to get on them and go for a rip.
Well, there you go. You've had it. You know, I'm just rabid. I'm foaming at the mouth. Let's go start riding. A lot of people question our ability and how hard do we really ride and how good are our evaluations. Well, I can tell you how good they are. We're at Snowshoot right now. Every media is there and every OEM tells us the same thing. Every OEM. Nobody rides as hard as we do.
Every year at Snowshoot, we try to have some guest riders come out and to help us evaluate it. So of course, you don't have to listen to just Paul and I rattle off on how everything's great. Aaron was a great fit. Midwest guy, living out in the mountains for 10 years, so he's got great experience in both the ditch banging, rough trail, groom trail, and mountain. A women's guest rider, you never know personalities are gonna clash or do anything like that. We did not have that problem with Chelsea Miller. And the only disappointing thing is that usually she kicked our ass.
We are in the crossover segment. Let me tell you, we have an arsenal from the OEMs out here.
We got quite the selection. We got 4 strokes, we got 2 strokes.
If you're gonna buy one sled, you want something that does everything, right? With one sled, and this is it, is you're gonna see these things truly can perform. Aaron, what's your take on it?
You bet. I mean, you can pound them down the trail and you can crawl off the trail and get sideways in the snow and just have fun all the time. You're having fun.
Chelsea, now you can attest. You love boondocking. What do you think these do?
Well, they're super smooth, taking them down the trail on the bumps, and you can pop off in the powder and carve away.
So if you want one sled that does it all, you gotta check these out, because every one of these are bad to the bone. Arctic Cat XF 1100 Turbo. That thing just rips. I mean, I just blow the doors off everybody. The thing just pulls and pulls and pulls. You can definitely feel the extra weight of the 4-stroke turbo. But there's always pros and cons, because if you really want the power like I do, sometimes you just gotta suck it up and deal with it.
This machine gives you the confidence that you can do anything. It's just that after a while you start to realize that it's a little bit heavier than some of the other sleds in its class. And but I liked it. It held side hill very well. You could turn it on a dime. Down the trail, it did the bumps very good. It cornered really nice, and it felt tight. It was a good machine.
You know, in years past, the XF 1100 Turbo, we picked that as sled of the year because it had great power and the turbo really shined. The weight is a little heavy, and so that kind of hurts it.
The Skidoo Renegade, it goes through the bumps fantastic. When we got into big bumps, it required me to stand up because they're longer duration. The bars were so low, I had a really uncomfortable big bend in my knees because I'm 6'2", and a taller person is definitely going to have an issue with having that knees bent.
I had that throttle pinned and could not feel a bump. It was just smooth like butter. The cornering was great. There was no ski lift. It didn't push. It went where you wanted it to go.
But where maybe they were lacking a little bit was in the off-trail situation. The handlebars were a little bit low.
But in some of the other stuff when we got off trail, some of the other sleds shined a little bit more than the Renegades. The new Viper with the 141, of course, is way lighter feeling, more responsive feeling as far as the throttle response, and I feel it's just because of the lighter chassis. With that 141 track, actually worked real well. It was able to side hill and auger up some of these hills through the snow really well, a lot better than I thought it would.
That chassis with the engine, I really believe they've got a good solid home run coming here. It just needs a few little more refinements.
Polaris Switchback Pro R, what I liked about that sled is the handlebar height was perfect. I could rail it through the corners, and then off trail, it was just natural to be standing on the running board, throwing it into a side hill. The thing absolutely responded to everything I wanted to do. Just stood up, sat down, and rode a snowmobile the way it should be ridden. And of all the sleds I rode in the crossover segment today, that is my pick.
For my pick for crossover sled, it would be the Polaris Switchback. It just seemed to handle the trail and off trail the best. It was fun for me because I was off trail carving it up and then went back on trail and went over those big bumps and couldn't feel it. It was crazy that you can make a sled do both.
Get into the bumps, what can you say? It's a Polaris Switchback Pro R. I mean, the thing rips through the bumps. It just seemed to have such a great balance. Off trail, up in the mountains, hands down, the best snowmobile I rode out there today for crossover.
The Rush chassis is a very nice chassis, takes the bumps real well, but yet was still fun to ride in the powder, side hilled nice, we're able to climb. So my pick is the Polaris Switchback Pro R.
Up next, we evaluate the Groom Trail sleds. If you prefer bumps, you'll appreciate the latest rough trail snowmobiles. And we ride with some of the best riders in the world as we evaluate the 2014 mountain sleds. Stay tuned to find out which sleds we award Best in Class. SLEDHEAD 24/7 is brought to you by FXR, world-class outerwear. Stud Boy, traction with an attitude. By Spy Optics. And by Arctic, share our passion.
We're in the Groom Trail segment. Let me tell you, once again, we have a full mixed bag. Why? Not everybody wants to ride a 600 on a trail. Not everybody wants to have an 800. We got 2 strokes, 4 strokes fish. We got a little bit of everything out here.
We got 600s, we got 1000s. We're all over the place.
You know why? Because not everybody rides the same thing. We got the whole gamut covered. What do you guys think so far?
Oh, it's been super fun putting in the miles and laying some tracks.
This is an absolute riot. Aaron, it's just like home, isn't it, brother?
You bet, hanging on to the handlebar hooks in the corner and blasting down the straightaways has been super fun.
Let's get back to heaven and have a slice of the pie.
With multiple sleds to choose in the Groom Trail category, we narrowed it down to 4.
Polaris Indy 800, you know what I really liked about this sled is when I ride a snowmobile, it seems like it's talking to me and I'm talking to it, and we need to be speaking the same language. And when I was riding the 800, we were speaking the same language. I'd move forward on the sled, back on the sled, through the corners, powering out. It was so fast. That's a nice machine.
We all know how much fun the 800 motor is. That thing rips. We lined up against every other brand out there today over and over and over and came down with the same end result. The 800 Polaris rips.
Needless to say, it was the fastest 800 Groom Trail sled we ran today. That thing is fast. That little shorter track, the IQ rear skid, just works really good. But you still got the Pro Ride front, and the thing handles the bumps nice, corners nice, lays nice and flat. All in all, a very good trail sled.
Yamaha SR Viper. I like new technology and I like thinking outside the box. I absolutely love this. The engine is great, tried and true proven Yamaha technology. Yamaha clutches, I mean it's Yamaha fuel system. You know, everything in there, if you're into Yamaha engines, which I am, it's bulletproof.
The SR Viper was fun going down the trail with all its power. It seemed to hook up in the corners quite well, but overall it was fun to ride.
Super nice handle and snowmobile. I like the way they clutched the machine. It pulled hard out of the corners. It was fun to ride. I like the handlebars, everything about it. It just seemed tight.
For all the people that are saying die-hard Yamaha people, oh my gosh, it's a combination with Arctic. They bought into Yamaha, they own part of the company. Baloney. They're all saying, but it's really just an Arctic with a little bit of Yamaha technology. Absolutely baloney. Anybody that thinks that only thinks that because they haven't rode it. Skidoo MXZ TNT 800. Start with the engine. Fantastic. 800 E-Tech. And it just sips fuel, uses very little oil.
It's a fantastic snowmobile with that R motion in it and the 800 E-Tech. That thing is a blast.
It cornered super flat, it was predictable, easy to ride, I didn't have to overthink it. Seat was comfortable, handlebars were very comfortable.
I liked how it handled in the corners. Overall, it handled great, had good power, and fun to ride down the trail.
Arctic Cat LT Gray 6000. The 6000 series is the new 600. The new 600 is absolutely fantastic.
Running that on the groomed trails, I think was a blast to ride. Very light, very nimble in the chassis.
The handling was very good, very solid. I felt connected with the snowmobile. 123 horsepower. That thing has got some snort.
And the snowmobile didn't let me down. It was smooth, powerful. It cornered very, very well. The suspension was good.
It's more of an aggressive ride. You kind of got to shift your weight around, but I enjoy that, so it was a fun sled to ride.
That's their brand new 600 motor. Now, it's actually all designed by Arctic Cat. The fuel rail, they inject oil in the fuel rail to help lubricate bearings so they can use a little less oil. Very efficient.
Nobody else does that. What's that going to mean? Longevity, less maintenance. No other manufacturer does that. Nothing gave me as much fun out there today as the Arctic Cat LT Gray 6000.
It really stood out to me throughout the whole day. After hopping on and off sleds, it just shined from the rest.
That's the bread and butter of snowmobiling to me, is a lightweight two-stroke 600. And that's why the LT Gray 6000 is my choice for groom trail.
The LT Gray did everything I wanted it to and more. And so my pick for groom trail is the Arctic Cat LT Gray.
Still ahead, watch as we test the best rough trail sleds on snow and bring you an unbiased evaluation. And we ride with the pros in the backcountry to show you the best-in-class mountain snowmobile for 2014. Stay tuned.
This is the rough trail segment, and a lot of people ask, what exactly is a rough trail segment? What are you going to do? We're going to find the biggest, baddest bumps, everything that's holed out, rutted out, whooped out. And what are we going to do that with? The fantastic OEM snowmobiles we have that just keep getting better every year.
No, that's right. And I tell you what, guys, either they're making the trail smoother or these things are getting way better.
They obviously are getting so much better, as you're going to see when you watch this. The rate of speed that we can get over these bumps at is absolutely incredible. You got to check this one out. Yamaha Viper RTX SE. That thing was a blast. The only issue I had with it was at high speed, when I get over the top of the bumps, it didn't seem to stay on top of the bumps well. It would fall off and it would go off camber and seem to fall down. Other than that, it's a great snowmobile.
I felt like I could get squirrely a bit easier on the Viper.
This sled, as long as I was on the throttle, did very, very well. What I found is that I was coming into a corner and I had to get out of the throttle. The back end wanted to check up, go left or right, and I found that I had to, get my act together, or I was going to be in trouble.
In the Arctic Cat line, we were testing the ZR8000 Snow Pro, not the RR. The RR, we did not have one of those for this test session, but I tell you what, that Snow Pro worked really good. Now the RR would have probably been a little better for the conditions we were going in, but don't sell that Snow Pro short.
When I get off the throttle and I'm coming into the corner, the front end has to kind of take over, and it really managed things very, very well. And I was able to ride the sled hard. The 800 motor pulled hard, I could keep the front end up. What I found was the back end just didn't quite keep up with the front end in most situations.
One thing that stood out for me was the torque. I really liked just the poppy throttle. It's more kind of an aggressive sled to ride. You gotta throw your weight around, but I think that's fun. The suspension, it's still great, but it just didn't shine as bright.
Polaris' 800 Rush Pro R, and it is still right at the top of their game.
I love the way that I can move my body around and I feel connected. It's so unique that no other snowmobile keeps you connected like the Polaris Rush does.
The ProRide chassis was very smooth. I noticed it handled very well in the corners. The bumps, it wasn't a whole lot of work for me.
I tell you what, as long as I was on the throttle, that thing was as flat. You gotta be a little daring because you have to be on the throttle. If you let off, you could crush that center shock, but if you were on the throttle and wheelied through it and just tap dance through that trail, it was lovely.
What I really liked about the Rush is I felt like I was in tune with the machine. What I was telling it to do and what it was telling me to do was right on track.
The only thing that came up at short end is that they didn't step it up. There's other manufacturers that keep thinking outside the box and keep raising the level and raising the bar, and Polaris did that last year, but they didn't do it this year.
The Ski-Doo MXZ XRS with the 800 E-Tech, what can I say? Our motion. They have new body panels on it that are a little warmer for you to ride. Even though the windshield's low, the body panels do deflect a lot more air. The thing is awesome. I mean, the suspension, our motion came out, a couple of years ago, and we've been raving about it ever since. Something about that one here today, when we were riding it in that rough bumps, I just totally fell in love with that one, because tell you what, you could come through those bumps, and even if you misjudged one and you could just gas it and wheelie and it wouldn't kick you, wouldn't go sideways, it went straight down the trail. As nasty as it got, it stayed straight and flat.
I felt very confident on that sled. I had it pinned quite a few times and I wasn't getting squirrely. It held a good line and didn't buck me, or it was just very smooth.
I found myself almost trying to ride over my head a little bit, but I could instantly correct it, and I was fine. The sled is so forgiving to ride. It's so fun to ride. It's fast, it handles good, it does the bumps good, it corners good, everything about it good.
Out of all the sleds I rode today, the Ski-Doo was definitely my top pick.
In the rough trail class, for me, hands down, it was a Ski-Doo 800.
I chose the Ski-Doo as the top in my rough trail.
Ski-Doo MXZ XRS is absolutely flawless. There is no question that's the best snowmobile you can buy if you want to go ditch banging.
Up next, we ride with the pros in the backcountry to evaluate and award the best-in-class mountain snowmobile for 2014. Stay tuned. SLEDHEAD 24/7 is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics, Polaris, Terrain Domination, Speedworks, straight-up USA horsepower, by GoPro, Be a Hero, and by Ski-Doo.
We are doing the mountain segment. This is our evaluation, and I think I can speak on behalf of all of us here. This is our absolute favorite thing that we do. We've got the biggest, baddest snowmobiles money can buy from the OEMs, and we have talent, Fish.
We got the best of the best sleds, the best riders. Yeah, that's how we run our evaluation.
This is controlled mayhem.
So starting out today, I rode the HCR from Arctic Cat. First time on one, and I really liked it. It felt lightweight and nimble.
1100cc turbo is just a bit heavy for me. It is. I mean, it isn't that it doesn't have enough power. It has plenty of power. I rode the 800. It's a little bit lighter in the front end. It's a little more easy maneuvering, a little more flickable. They didn't refine it much. They didn't change it much. It really isn't. It's still a great snowmobile, but there again, it's not on the level as a Polaris or a Ski-Doo. Yamaha NTX, I mean, not much has changed. It's basically the same thing, it's just not quite at the level as a Polaris or a Ski-Doo.
The rider position seemed a little bit different. The running boards were a little wider than what I was used to. Again, more like the other four-stroke of the day. It wears you out a little bit more.
Power is fair, but they do have that little turbo kit they sell for those things, and that makes a huge difference on that machine. Then what can I say about the Polaris Pro RMK? It's light, it's nimble, and it is what we always say, it is flickable. The thing has good power, good climbing abilities. It's so easy to side hill, carve, dive it in the powder. It makes you a lot better rider because it's light and easy to ride. No, they did have some problems with some belts and some drive axles. Address both of those. A stronger belt, better tolerance on the drive axle with the clamp. Since that, there's been absolutely zero problems with those.
Definitely the shorter seat and lower seat made it easier for me to transition from one side of the snowmobile to the other without, hitting the seat or tripping on the seat.
And it's been super easy for me to ride. I can keep it on edge and hold a line.
Our test crew today in the mountain segment was unanimous. The Skidoo Freeride in the 154. Everybody thought that was the greatest mountain sled they've ridden to date.
My top pick for the mountain class would be the Skidoo Freeride 154. Was easy for me to ride, and I think it can take a beginner rider to a novice rider just within a short amount of time.
My favorite was the 154. Totally capable, side hilling, and I think the clutching, the response to the throttle was predictable but good. Good power, just an absolute joy to ride.
Let's just face it, that thing does everything and it does it well. I like to ride hard, I like to pound bumps, and you don't magically get dropped into your favorite spot by helicopter. You have to ride a trail to get there. And you're not as tired when you're riding a Skidoo. I mean, let's face it, a free ride, you've got R motion in a 137, T motion in a 154, which is my favorite snowmobile. I mean, nothing does it like the Skidoo. Well, 2014 snowmobiles have been ridden, evaluated, and we're closing the doors and shutting the lights off on another successful year here.
In closing out Snowshoot, I'd like to thank the town of West Yellowstone and all our OEMs for bringing out some excellent equipment for us to ride.
It's such a great feeling to be able to come out here and represent women in this sport.
I had an absolute blast. 4 days riding hard, I'm tired.
If you want to see extended edits and more content in the world of snowmobiling, check out our website and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And from all of us at SLEDHEAD 24/7, thanks for watching.